why do motor oils and tax forms have such similar...
Like 1040 versus 10W30 or whatever.
Yeah, like it makes no sense. These are fun.
On your mark, get set, go. Better fast food. My daughter and I were out yesterday. We were hungry, needed something quick. And of course, she's like, let's go to McDonald's. I'm like, oh, I don't want you to eat McDonald's. Like I just want quality. It can be a hamburger even. Like, I want high quality, like if I made the food at home, basically. That's it. And I'm willing to pay for it.
I kind of think that Arby's sort of had that approach. They started making sandwiches, not like bun sandwiches, which is everything basically in fast food. But they started making like sliced bread sandwiches. And I don't know do they still even do them? I have no idea.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
I thought it was a really good idea. A bit of roast beef, you got your protein, little cheese,
I think that's
lettuce, tomato.
You brought up a good point there, which is I think the buns are a big issue, right? Because it's always
It's
these
just
white
such junk.
bread, it's just sugar and raw crap carbs.
I mean, at least it's not Subway's yoga mat chemicals. Not a sponsor.
Sorry, Subway. Anyway, better fast food.
Fast
Get
food.
on it. Like people are ready and clamoring for it.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
Get on it.
An online service for ordering from food trucks. This is from Nick R. Frost. And I understand that food trucks are already mobile. I get that. But we have ice cream vans. Why don't we have food truck vans? So right now, we don't really have any fast food in our immediate vicinity, which is awesome. But we don't have food trucks really near us either. I almost wish there was a food truck that would sort of be like an ice cream van and just drive up and down the neighborhoods just before dinner time.
You ready for my next one?
Okay.
Dessert truck like an ice cream truck.
Truck.
To come after dinner.
Cannolis.
I mean, we're talking the
What
exact
else?
same thing. It's really funny. So this is obviously a need in our area, at least. Would be great if there was a truck that came down the street. I guess they should be silent so they don't wake the kids.
I mean, it would have to be population density. A service that calls you for a fake business call when you text S.O.S.
I've seen or heard of people wanting things like this before for dating, right? So, So if you're on a bad date, you can actually.
I gotta run. I'm so sorry. I gotta run.
I had seen at one point where somebody had built a scheduler to schedule calls to yourself. This was years ago. I could see it being done well now.
How have we arrived at this point?
I could see it going well
society?
now from being done well now with AI, where you could set up like, okay, I know I'm going on a date. I'm meeting the person at 8:00 at this restaurant.
Right.
Regardless, I want to get a call at 8:30, and I can either just say, "Oh,
30 minutes, good staying power."
or whatever. And you know, like let's say it's going bad, you could just go, "Oh my gosh, really? Oh no."
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right there.
I mean,
hey, I'm so sorry. Or if it's going well, hey, sorry, I'm on a date.
Yeah.
You can play it off, you know.
I don't know. Is this mean? Is that mean? If
people suck. I mean, you're going to go out.
Yeah, but
listen, as a person that hasn't been on a date in like 40 years,
same
30,
here. But put yourself on the other side of that. Like, really, are we just enabling antisocial behavior? Oh, I need an excuse to get out. Really, what I thought more about was we have this guy who keeps coming to our door, but typically they come to the door and they're trying to sell you on, cheaper electricity or solar or something. So I need an SOS call for that.
I am very bordering on mean to people that come to my door. My wife tends to be very nice to people.
Yeah.
I didn't invite you. A guy had come who actually was pretty good at his sales pitch to try to sell us on pest control. And he was really like slick and good at the pitch. Yeah. To the point where I almost was like, yeah, I'll take a shot. But I was in the middle of like 5 things. Yeah. And I'm trying to get dinner going. It was like 5:30 and I'm trying to get dinner going. The kid's bugging me for something. And it's like the phone's ringing. And I was just like, buddy, I don't have time to talk to you. And he's just going, well, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like,
because they are salesmen, man.
Not now.
I don't like the pushy ones. Put it that way.
Yeah.
But just an SOS call to get out of stuff that you want to get out of without being antisocial.
How about, this is kind of a funny one, an arm extension for your arm, your physical arm, for making your bed so that you can reach the other side of the bed. That's all.
This is a major problem that needs an exoskeleton.
I've thought of it before, and I saw somebody I mentioned on Reddit. There was an anonymous user that said it, and I think it's.
I mean, how does it grip anything? What is it, like just a wooden thing?
I guess it's also like, those
head?
grabber things, like for grabbing a canned good off a shelf or whatever. They have for old people or people that not even
so
just
that you
old
can
people.
Pull your sheet properly over the far
So
end
you don't
of
have to
your
walk
mattress.
around. I have a king size mattress. If I want to make the bed, it takes me like I got to go over here. I pull this side up. I walk around. I pull that side up, and then
first world problems, folks.
Yeah, well. You know,
I don't know.
Guess
about
where
that
I live.
Well, right. An AI-powered spectrum of allies generator.
What's a spectrum of allies?
So a spectrum of allies, and I'll read a brief kind of description of this. Historically, it's used by activism groups to do outreach. It's used to identify potential allies, opponents, or neutral parties.
What is it?
The spectrum of allies is a diagram, a list. Very often a diagram is easy to look at, or a list of strong supporters, weak supporters, neutral, weak opponents,
of any given
and
idea.
Strong opponents, right, of any given idea. And I wonder, and having done quite a bit of marketing in my time, I'm wondering why I've never seen this for business. And maybe it does exist by a different name and a different kind of setup, but it just feels like AI would have a uniquely strong ability to tap into way more data than any single marketer or marketing team could about the possible interrelationships between one business and every other possible stakeholder out there for decision making, for marketing, for positioning, for brand voice, and all these things. And it just seems to me like, wow, it just seems tailor-made to use AI to generate these kinds of diagrammatic, top-down, zoomed-out views of there's your company, here are your competitors and your supporters and your stakeholders and your partners.
Potential
markets, audience,
Audiences.
Just figure that might be an interesting idea.
Playing cards made of cheese.
Okay, what?
Playing cards made of cheese.
And this is to solve hunger or to solve...
This was Living Marble on Twitter, or X said this, and I just thought it was kind of funny.
I mean,
Playing
doesn't
cards
it open
made of
itself up
cheese.
to cheating, or should I say cheesing?
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it sounded funny.
It does sound like a great novelty gift, especially for like a banquet at a party. Cheese, looking like...
It's a pretty stupid idea.
It's a stupid idea, but it might have... You never know with novelty foods.
I like to throw stupid ideas.
Business idea. A supermarket where everything is always 50% off, but 1 out of every 100 items is poisoned.
Oh, that would go over well.
AKA Squid Game for supermarkets.
Boy, we're really going down the...
But okay, so what is the alternative to that? Could that be 1 out of every 100 items is free? Obviously, they wouldn't be putting high-price items free, but could that be a thing?
I kind of like that idea.
Well, it's a regular
Or
supermarket,
discounted.
but 1 out of every 100 items is free.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And maybe sometimes it is a higher price.
You might catch a roast beef, like
You might catch, yeah. And would that
like
not
a $30 roast?
Would that
or
not
something.
keep people coming back to that grocery store
I think
versus
it's a great.
rewards?
I actually
and-
really like the idea.
I mean, that could really have legs. I think.
I like this one. Yeah,
But the poison thing, if you don't like your clientele.
Yeah, the poison thing, I think that kind of works against you in the long run. Reverse auctions where companies bid for your purchase. So I've thought of this a lot of times when we were buying equipment for this pod, buying cameras, and when you're typically bigger ticket items, computers, cameras, music,
Cars,
whatever, where I could go on, and I think of this especially with when I'm trying to make bundles of things, like where I need a camera, I need a couple of microphones,
right.
or I'm buying a computer, I need
Right.
RAM and a hard drive and a motherboard and a case and a monitor and all these things. So if I'm going to buy more than $1,000 worth of things or whatever it is, maybe I could go on and put up, hey, I'm looking to buy these things, and it's a little list of things, and resellers out there can say, okay, yeah, I'll give you a discount on those things.
Oh, but they would have to then carry all of those things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not where I thought that was going. I thought it was going just to kind of like a site that, I don't know, I want to buy
like
one
a
of these.
clearinghouse or something.
And someone posted that idea, and I read one of the comments, and the comment did seem like it made sense that it was it's much easier for the people who are doing the purchasing
Sure,
to be amassing somewhere
and
than having all these businesses with their operatives out there trying to find people who want to buy them.
So there is one, my big TV that I had bought when we moved into the house, I had found one, greentoe.com. That's where I bought it from. And it was basically you say like what you want to pay for the TV or something. It's kind of like, on eBay when you do the
it's
make
like
an offer.
Priceline.
It's kind of like Priceline.
Hotels,
and so a bunch of different Sony resellers. I bought a Sony TV. A bunch of Sony resellers reply and say, I'll give it to you for this. I'll give it to you, and then they give you like the lowest price, whichever one was the lowest price. You can choose to buy it or not.
And how did you do that? I like that.
On greentoe.com. I went on
Greentoe,
and I searched the model number I was interested in.
Yeah.
And said I was willing to pay whatever it was. And I got a good deal on it compared to like going to Best Buy to buy it.
Yeah.
It was like a couple $100 cheaper or whatever.
That's pretty
good.
And
it's only they only deal with authorized resellers. So you're not getting gray market goods that,
right.
aren't going to have warranty support or something.
Yeah.
But I could see that across all industries, basically anything I want to buy.
Yeah.
Agreed. The semantics of it need to be figured out, but
right. The businesses basically vie for your business. A feedback aggregator. At the moment, everything is mostly siloed. Instead, collect feedback about services, contractors, businesses for a zip code scraped from Nextdoor, Facebook, Reddit, Craigslist, wherever. Maybe present it just as a word cloud with like an estimated rating. Yeah. Good words, more blue. Bad words, more red. It just seems like so many of the things out there that people have weighed in on. Yeah. Specifically services. It could be products. But services, especially in your area.
I mean, Google's kind of like the default for that.
Right? But Google doesn't have access to a lot of Facebook content, and this would make it one of the challenges here. But it seems like there should be a place that has aggregated all of these people on all these different sites. Yeah. Quora, Facebook, Nextdoor, where they've said, when I get something like this installed, I typically go with one of these contractors. And not even just necessarily specific companies, but even just ways of doing things. Why isn't there more aggregated, focused, knowledge-based information like you would find on any website for a company? Why isn't that widely available for just getting things done around the house?
Sure. A quick breakdown of a political issue and where any associated parties stand on the issue. So I'd like a place where when there's an issue at hand in the public eye, you can go and just read like the Cliff's Notes of here's what the issue is about and here's why the Republicans are interested in, like, here's what they like about it.
Yeah.
Here's what the Democrats like about, you know what I mean? Like, I want to see, and not necessarily just political groups, but like, how does that affect anybody that it affects?
Right.
And what is their stance on it? And what do they stand to gain? Because recently there's this crypto issue that's going around. We won't get into all that, but I'm getting emails from Coinbase, and then I'm getting emails from my state senator, and they're like taking different stances, and it's like, I just want like a quick place where I can go and just in 2 minutes kind of read like the TLDR.
To get through the BS, basically.
Just to get through the BS. That's just facts.
Well, I mean, that is not a new
facts.
idea. I mean, that is, So that idea has been around forever. I've seen various ways of how to do that. Again, who is writing those summaries?
Well, that's the thing, right? It's got to be,
even if AI was writing it, was AI possibly trained more on left-leaning media,
right,
or maybe more on right-leaning media for certain things, because more right-leaning media there was more written about this one issue, and so the AI is going to be skewed more that way just by that fact. Was it 411 or 410 or something news? But it's supposed to be this idea that people want to get back to Walter Cronkite news.
Yes.
They want to just get the facts of the news. Yeah. They don't want anyone weighing in with an opinion.
Right.
They don't want someone who is just a straight shooter delivering that news.
I remember reading something, I don't remember if it was a Reddit post or a blog article years and years and years ago, 5 to 10 years ago, about which they looked at all the different news sources and said which ones are actually the most independent, the most non-colored. It was a very interesting mix of different news sources saying that what was the most non-biased.
I mean, I love the idea. I just don't know how it will be done. I think it would take really smart AI with smart training behind it that didn't,
Right.
that somehow made sure, I don't know how though, made sure that it was trained in some sort of equitable way where it could not be I don't know.
It would have to be like
leaning one way.
The AI's whole purpose would be finding bias, right? And so it would have to be like not trained on anything other than this is biased, this is not biased. So it's interesting.
It's
an
very
interesting
tough
problem.
to do that. Yeah. A streaming platform for Broadway plays, theater, and dance. Like, wouldn't it be cool to see a Broadway show that you?
Funny
Who's
you
going to
said
go
that.
to New York?
My daughter and I went to the movies yesterday, and our local movie theater, they do all these and I think a lot of movie theaters do this now because they have to, all these unique non-movie events and things, right? There's they'll do live sports events or whatever. But they also now have this whole series. It's basically ongoing programming of all different types. And so one of the things that they had on there was plays and opera, and
really?
You can go watch these at the movie theater. Now, I don't know that they're live. I assume that they're pre-recorded productions. But that's kind of cool because some people might where we live, there's no great big theater to go see a play.
I mean, to see a play in person. I think the streaming aspect here, meaning, opera from San Francisco or a musical from New York.
Right.
That is somehow live streamed
cool.
from, I think that'd be a cool idea. And I thought there was actually a side gig there, which is, wouldn't that now enable a whole bunch of businesses for these venues that need help setting up? Camera, lights, streaming technology. I mean, that's a whole new industry right there, you know?
Well, I guess who pays for it? I guess it would be how does the money flow there?
I would think Netflix. If Netflix is already doing live comedy shows, they have to pay for all of that technology.
Now, there are, maybe it's on YouTube. I've watched, my daughter, likes dance and ballet and stuff. And she's watched, the Met or whatever. No, it's the
Metropolitan Opera.
Their Nutcracker performance at Christmas, on YouTube. And it's like a properly done thing, and I've seen it on PBS and stuff where they have stuff like that.
No, I mean, Bravo TV, that used to be all about that, but they completely changed, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's right, Bravo.
Bravo
when Bravo first came out in
great. You could get
late
all this
70s,
weird,
80s.
It was really good, and then
theatrical
it turned into Desperate Housewives and all this baloney. Exactly right.
It's like somebody needs to reinvent that.
Yeah.
I guess it comes down to what pays the bills.
What with the eyeballs? Who wants to see the junk, or who wants to see some actual art?
A AI-based code scorer, code being programming code, scorer for interviewees and others. So if I'm hiring for a software developer position, and I have to go through 50 different resumes and their code samples, I want to be able to just feed those code samples into a bot that can look at them and rank them, rate them, give them back to me and say, so I don't have to go line by line and read through all this code.
Yeah, that's super
and say,
smart.
this is quality code versus...
There's a really good use of AI there.
Yeah.
A crowd drawing app. I'm not sure if you've ever played this with your daughter, but a progressive drawing game. Where at the top you start with the head, you leave a couple of lines for the neck, you fold the paper over so the next person can't see it.
Right.
They draw the shoulders and the arms. An online version of that. And not just for kids, but for grown-ups. I think it'd be really funny.
Yeah.
I mean, if grown-ups are already wasting time on coloring books because they find it cathartic, then why not, crowd drawing, apps? Cool. I could see that going a number of directions.
That board game we've played, the drawing thing.
Man, what is that game called? Yeah, that's a really, really funny game.
Yeah.
On an online version of that'd be so easy.
A mute button for specific topics on the internet. So let's say either I haven't yet watched the football game and I don't want to know anything about the game. Basically anything that comes into my computer, I want all things about X football game,
filter.
or it's a filter. Now, I don't know if you remember this in 2009, I guess, when Twitter first kind of came out, there was no way on Twitter to mute a certain topic.
Right. I remember that.
And so I was part of a hackathon. We did one of those, code challenge hackathons, and we created, do you remember this? Twalala?
Yeah, Twalala.
Twalala.com.
Yeah.
Which was like Twalala.
Yeah.
And it was a Twitter client.
Right.
It was a Twitter client for muting topics.
Yeah.
And it got pretty good legs.
Yeah.
It was on Mashable and
Yeah.
it did pretty well. I guess the problem is I think I'm still a heavy desktop computer user.
No, I am too.
Well,
Yeah.
I know, but I think the majority of the world is more on their phones and iPads. And so now if you're jumping back and forth between the Twitter client and your web browser, and you know what I mean? Now you're having to mute it across different applications.
So only on select channels, basically.
You could almost do it at the router level would be the way to do it. Like at the house, kind of like firewalls and parental.
I mean, you must take your sporting pretty seriously.
Well, I don't mean, I know. That was one I said, but but there's like, you can do, I know like schools and some routers. I think my router has like parental filters on there.
Yeah, right.
So that kids aren't
Same technology, right?
Kids aren't going to get porn or anything.
Yeah.
It's really the same thing. You're blocking, I think a lot of those are blacklist URLs that are live updated and stuff.
Yeah. A service that sends junk mail, but like fun, interesting junk mail.
That's kind of interesting. Yeah.
And it made me think of like when you're on YouTube, you're there for like the meat and potatoes, the regular videos, but the shorts are really like, oh yeah, what's this? Oh yeah, what's this? Oh yeah, what's this? I'm so bored.
Right.
Of
I'm not interested in your solar panels,
it's like
your
sales
replacement
fatigue.
Windows, your, all the things.
But not just that,
gets.
it's also you're just tired of the people, the playbooks, you know how they operate, you know what junk mail is getting at, you know what the political ones are, you know what if they're trying to sell Windows. I just like, isn't there, and I'm a marketer.
Yeah.
Aren't there better ways of making junk mail more interesting?
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope for that. Then they'll throw out less. Come on, it's a win-win.
How about just no junk mail? I'd love a local service to come to my house and go through my old stuff and sell it, or decide if it's worth anything. I've got a basement.
I would pay
for
that.
I've got a basement full of stuff in boxes, things that we've moved a couple houses now.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that stuff still hasn't been looked at in 20 years.
Yeah.
Why do we still have it?
Our
Whether it's
basement
books and
just,
CDs or equipment. I mean, there's like old computer and music equipment.
I would almost be embarrassed to have someone coming to pick through
who cares?
the stuff in my basement, because the basement A is such a mess, and B, I wouldn't even know. I don't want to sell everything in my basement, but I would probably want to sell a good percentage of it.
Well, maybe they just, you point them at X boxes, number of boxes, and they come back to you and say, these are the things worth selling in there, and here's the stuff that's not. And
what's it worth?
And maybe they're a junk removal service as well, right?
What's
so
it
maybe
worth
it's
to you?
Kind of,
How much would you pay? Like
I
what
don't know.
percentage?
Maybe it's a percentage thing, right?
So
like,
what percentage do you think you would pay?
give me
Like
half.
Half. So you give 50%.
Well, I guess
All right.
I guess it would also depend on what you have for sale, because if I have $5,000 worth of stuff for sale, that's a lot different 50% than if I have $1,000.
They're still doing the work.
If they're putting in 3 hours regardless, but I have,
see what you're saying.
But I have quality stuff to sell versus non-quality stuff to sell. How do they get their money?
I could
So
totally
that's
see
the
that.
trick there, is figuring out the financial aspect. But I think, and I know there's junk clean out people that do stuff. I just don't know if there's like a sales thing built into that at all, where they auction, put the stuff on eBay or whatever.
A service where I come around and set up a table filled with all kinds of stuff. Then I hand you a map so you can sweep everything off the table and unfurl the map to feel important for one beautiful moment.
Ridiculous.
Thank you, Stephen, as Cowboy user. Love it.
Well, was this an idea, or is it just an idea in my head? I don't remember. It's like some of these things that I think about, I'm like, was that just some crazy idea I had at one point, or was this something out in the wild where you could smash stuff? Right. And I think it was a thing. There was like a place you could go to.
I think it's in Australia. I think I saw
You
this
might be
listed.
right.
You can go in and break plates and mirrors
smash
and
stuff up like with a sledgehammer and like it's like to take out frustration.
Just to have for one beautiful moment, you can just let loose and be a bull in a china shop. Yeah,
it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
A better way to discover things of interest, much like YouTube Shorts or TikTok, right? where we're going through this algorithm is learning and showing us things that we may be interested in. How about just in life in general, online in general, showing us things that we just may not know exist and we may be interested in?
In what format? Like how does it do this?
I don't know. This is what I'm saying. That's why we're here. But, I just feel like might be things out there I might be interested in, like before anybody knew what pickleball was. Things like that where things kind of percolate up in your life into your attention.
I mean, YouTube Shorts are pretty good because every now and then the algorithm will throw you a crazy Ivan.
Yeah.
It'll just send you a couple of things that are completely not related to anything else, which is necessary.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just going to be an echo chamber.
But are interesting to you for whatever reason.
Yeah. And you never know what might then catch your... But
maybe YouTube Shorts is it. Maybe that is our...
Maybe junk mail. That's just really interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know about Greek mushroom farming?
I do. Let me tell you, it's difficult to get those Greeks in the ground.
Boy.